Federico Staksrud has one of the best serves in the business, and what makes his serve so great is that it fits so great with his game. Federico is known for serving quickly and not taking a lot of time in between points. Where most players like to grind out the point, Federico is looking to get the point over as quickly as possible. So in this video, we're going to take a lesson from Federico Staksrud's serve and learn specifically what we can do to not make our serve just a shot to start the point, but a true weapon to take advantage of the match, just like how we see the world #1 do again and again and again. There's this really cool tool called the Pickleball Drills app that has hundreds of different drills that are specifically taught by the pros. So they have tips and instruction in there to help you not only do the drill and improve your muscle memory, but also to see into these pros' minds and what they're thinking so that you can have the most optimal drilling session that you've ever had. So if you want to train with the pros, go to pballdrills.app, or you can click this link right here and join the Pickleball Drills community. So first we're going to start by talking about the grip that Federico uses, as well as his starting position. So he uses an Eastern forehand grip, which looks just like this. And the way that you're going to find it is you're going to put your paddle to where the face is pointing directly up into the sky. And this top bevel here, there's 8 bevels all the way around the paddle. This top bevel is where you're going to put the inside of your index knuckle and the bottom corner of your palm. You're going to align it with that bevel here. So once that's aligned, you're in that Eastern forehand grip just like Fed. Something that's very interesting that he does is he has a trigger finger all the way up on the paddle face. So he has his index finger come up to the paddle surface, and this actually really helps him to be able to know where his paddle is at in space so that he can hit the sweet spot time and time again. So this obviously helps him. This might be something that helps you. The only other pro that I can think of that does this on their forehand side is DJ Young, who's also a really, really good pro. He puts his finger up here, his index finger up here, and it helps you kind of know where your paddle's at in space. I'm not saying that it's going to automatically make you be able to serve like Federico by doing it, but I do think that it can help you to be able to hit the center of the sweet spot more. The next thing to talk about with that is his starting position. So with his starting position, everything is in alignment to point towards where he's about to go. He'll actually tap his paddle just like this prior to serving. It's because it gives him that rhythm to be able to reset and start that next point with a clear mind. You'll see other pros like Ben Johns, for instance. He'll come up and he'll bounce the ball. So Federico's version of that is Federico will do a couple of bounces, but he's going to do this. And that's telling him, I'm going to hit this specific part of my paddle right as I make contact with the ball. So it's helping him to kind of get that mind to paddle connection so that he can hit that sweet spot. So I think that this is a great thing to do. You don't have to be obnoxious about it. But he's pointing actually with that finger that he has up. He's also pointing with the tip of his paddle. He's pointing with his knee. Everything is in direct alignment with where he wants to go. And that's going to set him up for a fantastic serve. I think that this is absolutely essential to hit not just a powerful serve, but a more consistent serve. The next thing to talk about is his take back, or the power creator, I like to call it. So it's the power creator because it's creating all of the coil to which you can then uncoil through. If we think about a spring, it springs back up only because it has all of that tension on it. If we don't create the tension in the first place, obviously the spring isn't going to shoot back up. So he's in this position, and all that he is simply going to do in order to get that coil is he's going to point his paddle tip from pointing at his opponents to pointing towards the side fence. So he's going to spread his arms just like this and point his paddle tip towards the side fence. And notice as I'm doing that, and as he does it, he bends his knees, okay? So right as he swoops back, he bends his knees. And he has this going on. If you bend your knees, obviously you're going to be able to get more power because you're utilizing your legs rather than just that coil. Now here's the problem. You're going to see this and say, okay, all that I have to do is point my paddle tip towards the side fence, and now I have his exact load up. Is that players disconnect, amateur players disconnect their hand from their body. What that simply means is that their hand is coiling, but their body's not. So they're losing out on a ton, and I mean a ton of power. This is where the majority of the power is coming from. So just to show you what that looks like, a lot of players will just use their hand to take it back. And as you can see, I'm not creating any tension. I'm not creating any coil. I'm not pushing down on that spring. So in order to push down on that spring, I spread both wings like an eagle, and I'm going to turn to where my shoulders become flush with the side fence, okay? So I'm just simply turning where my shoulders are flush with the side fence. Now I'm completely connected to my arm and it's not disconnected. I don't want to have this going on. I want to have this going on. So remember, get those shoulders flush with the side fence for your take back. That's really all that you have to focus on. And then just make sure that the tip of your paddle is pointing towards the side fence. it goes from pointing forward to pointing towards the side fence. After that is his motion and follow through. So what he does is he stands through the ball and he finishes by taking his feet into the court. So he's going from that starting position to that coiled position to now he's leaning forward into his shot, and he's just going to simply drop the ball and then crack it forward as he steps into the court. So the simplest way to think about this is that your shoulders are going to be going from facing towards the side fence to facing towards the other side fence. So now I'm facing directly in this direction when I started in this direction. And that just shows that I'm uncoiling through my shot. And what I like to think about with this is you're replacing your shoulders. So you're going from your non-dominant shoulder forward to then your dominant shoulder forward. And something to note that he does, which is kind of interesting, is he actually points just like this with his non-dominant hand directly after letting go of the ball. So he'll let go of the ball and then he'll point towards where he's going, and then he'll continue that up all the way up until he catches his paddle at the top. This is just simply something that he does without thinking about it. That said, I do think that that pointing helps him to be able to get the ball to go where he wants it to go every single time. The last thing to note with his serve is just like how I talked about before, he doesn't stop on that take back. So it's all one fluid motion. He comes back and then he comes forward. Right at that take back, when his paddle is pointing towards the side fence, he's just simply going to relax his paddle downwards, and then he's going to brush outwards and upwards through that shot as he steps into the court. That outwards and upwards motion is the most essential part to bring your ball back down. You can create all the power you want, but if you can't bring it back down into the court, obviously you can't start the point, you can't win the point. So he's going to brush outwards and upwards, and what he's doing is he's creating a windshield wiper motion. So that paddle tip is going from pointing towards the side fence to pointing upwards. And he's simply just leaning forward through his shot, and then he's going to catch his paddle high here. So everything is out in front, and then he steps into the court. So remember, that windshield wiper motion is what's going to create all that topspin. That outward motion is what's going to create all of the pace as you uncoil through your shot. Drill number one is the bowling drill, and for this drill you don't need a paddle, all that you need is balls. So I'm using the Titan ball machine with all of its balls inside of it, and all that you're going to be doing is the exact motion that you would do for the serve, and then you're going to bowl this ball. The only difference is you're not going to bowl it low like this, you're going to bowl it over the net. And the reason for that is because the serve motion, like we talked about before, is outwards and upwards. So I start, point that toe towards the net post, and then I'm turning, just like as if my paddle was pointed towards the side fence. Drop, pet the dog, pull outwards and upwards, brush up the ball, and then I'm getting this windshield wiper motion. And then I finish by making my elbow my nose. Okay, that's the best way to think about it. You wrap your arm around your neck or just make your elbow your nose. This is obviously over exaggerated, but it helps you to get that form down. So all that you're gonna be doing, we're here, and we're going low to high. Now we're not necessarily trying to get it cross court at this time. That's a really easy adjustment that we can make later. We're just trying to get it over the net as we bowl the ball, making sure that I'm replacing my shoulders as well as my feet. So my left leg, left shoulder's in front, finish with right leg, right shoulder in front. If you're lefty, it's the exact opposite. So I'm here, boom. Just trying to get that height on the ball and that spin. We want to get that top spin. The way that we're going to get that is by brushing up the backside of the ball. So a really good drill to do just to get that form down. Make sure that you're going outwards and upwards. You're not just going upwards. You're not just going outwards. Combine both, outwards, upwards, and then remember that windshield wiper. The best way to think about the windshield wiper, fingers down to fingers up. So I turn and then I replace. I'm replacing the shoulder and my foot as I hit through the shot. So you can continue doing that drill until you get the exact form down, and then you'll be absolutely set. Drill number two is the paddle float drill. This is by far my favorite drill to do, to be able to create lag. For those of you that don't know what lag is what creates power through your wrist and arm as you come through the ball. So if you don't have lag, you're gonna lack a ton of power on your serve. So this is absolutely essential. Essentially, lag is where we pull forward with our paddle facing backwards, the tip of it. When it makes contact, it's completely flush with the ball. Essentially what lag is it's where we pull forward with the butt cap of our paddle facing towards our opponents. And then as we make contact with the ball, that slaps through. So that lag happens as we pull forward. Now, nobody's gonna be able to hop onto the court and just create lag automatically. This drill is a progression drill that will help you to be able to create that lag within literally 3 minutes. So it's really awesome. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna put your paddle out in front of you, okay, totally flat like this, and you're just gonna lift it into the air and let it drop back down. Lift into the air, let it drop back down. Notice how I'm not doing this with my arm, I'm just doing this with my wrist. Lift. And the whole goal of this is for you to be able to get a feel for when the paddle is as light as a feather to where it's heavy again. Light as a feather, heavy. Light as a feather, heavy. That's the first progression. The next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna put your paddle to the side, just like how you would in a normal unit turn. It's to the side like this, lift it, let it drop. Lift it, let it drop. And now we're gonna pull forward, okay? That's gonna help us to be able to get a feel for that lag. And we pull forward as soon as we feel that feather start to drop back down. So it's super light, and then we pull forward. And we're just coming forward, that's it. Here, pull forward. Here, pull forward. Okay, do that a few times. And then you're gonna add the second to last rendition, which is you're gonna come forward and upward. And you're gonna windshield wipe up that ball. So we're here, drop, and we windshield wipe up that ball. Here, drop, windshield wipe. Light as a feather, drop, windshield wipe. Finishing by making my elbow my nose or wrapping my arm around my neck, right? And then the last rendition of it all is I'm going to replace my feet and my shoulder. What I mean by that is, just like how we talked about before, I'm stepping in to that serve. So I'm here, lag, and then I replace my foot and shoulder. Light, heavy. As soon as it gets heavy again, I'm coming forward. And what that's doing is it's making it so that that butt cap is facing towards our opponents for as long as possible. And then we're slapping through the ball. Now I'm not slapping with my wrist like this, and also with ground strokes, you're not doing this. All that's happening is wrist is cocked backwards to wrist becomes neutral. That's it. We don't want to come forwards like this. That's going to create a ton of inconsistency in our shots. So we're here, back to neutral as we come through that lag. So pay attention. Light, heavy, and then we come through that shot. And what that's creating is that lag as we come through, which will create a ton of extra power on your serve. Drill number 3 is the 2 paddle drill. And just like how it sounds, you're gonna be using 2 paddles and you put them into your dominant hand. So both paddles are in your dominant hand and you're gonna be doing the exact serve motion. So we're here, our feet are closed, pointing towards the net post. I load towards the side fence, drop, lag, outwards and upwards. I'm just continuously doing this exact motion as I come through the ball. And what this is doing is having this extra paddle adds obviously weight. And so as soon as we ditch the extra paddle, not only will our arm be extremely warmed up, but it'll start hitting rockets because it feels so light to just now have 1 paddle in your hand. So when I'm hitting my normal serve now, it just feels as light as a feather. So what I recommend doing with this drill in specific is doing this at least 100 times, hitting that shadow swing. And I'm not going 100% either. If you go 100%, you could really hurt yourself with 2 paddles because it's so heavy. Make sure that you're only going about 70, 75% as you're hitting through this shot. All that you're focused on is that outward and upward motion. Now, something that I mentioned before is with the bowling drill, we weren't worried about where the ball was going, right? We don't care if it goes cross court or if it goes straight down the line like that. What you want to do to be able to adjust that, if you start serving and the ball's not going to the desired spot over there, and instead is like going up the line here, let's say, what you want to do to adjust that is change your hips where they're facing. So if I'm pointing my toe towards the net post and it's going out over here in this direction, I'm going to now point my toe towards the side fence, okay? So I'm going to over exaggerate it and act like the court is over there. And I'm gonna actually try to hit the side fence. So then I try to hit the side fence and hey, maybe I notice, I've obviously done this way too many times, but maybe I notice that I hit it out that way. So now I'm gonna make a little minor adjustment, go right in between that, and then bam, it's going in that direction. So a lot of people think that they might be doing the wrong service form, but really what it's coming down to is you're not facing your hip in the correct position. So do the correct service form, just like how we talked about, and don't try to adjust it just to get the ball in that direction. Instead, adjust your hips point that front hip wherever you want the ball to go. If you notice that it's going in one direction or the other, adjust it a little bit more. There's no problem with doing that. Then your body will progressively get used to it, and then it will become totally normal for you to not have to aim for the side fence. Instead, it feels like you're just aiming for the court, and that's where it goes. Drill number 4 is the drill where we put it all together. So for this drill, we're going to be doing normal serves. And the one thing that I didn't mention is what you're doing with your off hand. So with your non-dominant hand, you're obviously holding the ball, and you're just gonna simply hold it out in direct alignment with where your knee is. So my knee is pointing. Wherever that's pointing is where I wanna hold the ball. If you don't do this, it's gonna probably be too close to you and your elbow will get in the way, or it's gonna be too far away. You're gonna be reaching too far for it. So instead it's outwards and away from you in direct alignment with where that knee is. And then you're just dropping as you hit through the shot. Just simply dropping. You can also toss. Your timing is going to be more difficult the more that you add on. So that's why I suggest just hitting it directly out of your hand. And then as you rotate through, that non-dominant arm is gonna go from being straight to bending as you hit through the shot. And notice how I bring it into here. This is something that doesn't necessarily have to be practiced. It will just come natural to you. But just to show you guys, I'm straight and then it's coming into here. And this might look weird because you've probably never noticed what that left arm is doing, but go watch any of the pros, go watch any high-level players. You'll notice as they hit through their ground strokes or hit through their serves, that left arm or non-dominant arm comes in over here and it's really choked up. And that's helping them to be able to rotate, because if you keep that arm out, you can't rotate as quick. It's stopping you from rotating. Straight to bent as you come through the arm. Like I said, don't think about it too much, but I have seen some players that keep it straight and it comes down here as they hit through the shot. That's making them lack power because that hand is just dragging through the air rather than allowing them to be able to fully rotate through the shot. So for this serve drill, what you want to do is start by trying to hit your serve long. So you're trying to hit it past the baseline and out, which I got one, over and over and over again until you can slowly bring it in to where it's landing within a foot of the baseline every single time. Because with the serve, the most important thing about it, even though this is about power, is that it has height on it and depth. So the higher you go, the more depth that you get, and the more difficult that the serve is gonna be for your opponents. Because if that ball is not only going deep, but also high, it's gonna be really difficult for them to have to hit it up here. It's gonna be an awkward position. Whereas if it's coming deep and low, it's a whole lot easier, but still hard because it's deep. So start by actually hitting them out and then slowly hone it in. Okay, now it's the depth that I want. And notice how I'm going probably 3-4 feet over the net, probably. I'm gonna create a mental picture in my mind of 3-4 feet over the net and act like there's an actual target right here that I wanna hit every single time. Because if I hit this part of the air, I know exactly what distance it's gonna go. It's gonna be a foot from the baseline. Whereas if I go here, it's probably gonna land pretty shallow in the court. They'll be able to easily come in. If I go way up here, it's gonna go past the baseline. So I know that my baseline, for lack of a better term, is to go about 4 feet over the net. So if I go 4 feet over the net, I mean, that's probably closer to 3, and hit that target in the air, I'm automatically getting it to travel the distance that I want. So for this specific drill, you're gonna focus on getting that height above the net and figuring out what height above the net you need to hit to be able to get it a foot from the baseline consistently every single time. You're gonna do this from obviously the odd side and the even side so that you know how to do it from both sides. But remember, pick a target in the air and it will automatically correlate to picking a target on the court. And the reason that you don't wanna pick a target directly on the court is because there's a net in the way. So if I try to hit the court, hopefully that happens. I mean, my serve's just too good. But if I try to hit a spot on the court, holy cow. Guys, I can't miss my serve. One more. Okay, that's what's gonna happen a lot of the time. Not every time, as you saw, obviously. I've had a lot of serves that I've hit though, thousands upon thousands. But it'll hit the net because you haven't picked a target that doesn't avoid the net. And the target that avoids the net is the space above the net. So make sure to practice your technique and practice those drills. I know that they will help you to be able to improve your overall power as you come through the ball and make you a more effective player. And be sure to leave me a comment below. YouTube really likes that. Leave me a comment below if you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you enjoyed about it. And watch this video right here if you want to improve your pickleball game. And I will see you on the next one.